Most people think memory loss after 60 is just a normal part of aging, something that simply happens with time and cannot really be stopped. But research from leading U.S. institutions like Harvard Medical School, the National Institute on Aging, and Johns Hopkins University suggests something very different. In many cases, memory decline is not caused by age alone, but by everyday habits that slowly reduce how efficiently the brain processes and stores information. And the surprising part is that one of these habits is extremely common in modern life, especially in the U.S., and most people do it without even realizing it is affecting their brain. If you are over 60 and sometimes forget names, lose your train of thought, or walk into a room and suddenly think, "What did I come here for?" You are not alone. But according to neuroscience research, not all of these changes are just normal aging. A large part of it is connected to how much mental pressure and constant stimulation your brain is exposed to every day. The habit we are talking about is constant mental overload, without giving your brain proper rest. In simple terms, it means keeping your mind busy all day long with no real quiet time. This includes things like watching television while also scrolling your phone, switching between multiple tasks without finishing one properly, keeping the news or social media running in the background for hours, and rarely sitting in silence without stimulation. At first, this may feel normal, even harmless, because modern life encourages multitasking and constant engagement. But over time, this creates a problem that builds slowly in the background. Your brain never gets a chance to fully reset. It stays in a constant active mode, processing information without proper recovery periods. Harvard Health Publishing explains that the brain needs downtime to properly organize and store memories. When you experience something new, your brain does not instantly store it as a permanent memory. It first processes it, filters it, and then decides what is important enough to keep. But this process works best when the brain has periods of rest. Without those rest periods, the brain becomes overloaded with information, and memory storage becomes less efficient. Think of your brain like a computer running too many applications at the same time. It still functions, but it slows down, becomes less responsive, and starts making small errors like forgetting files or freezing during tasks. That is similar to what happens in your brain when there is constant mental overload. Now here is what makes this even more important. Studies from the National Institutes of Health, Mayo Clinic, and Harvard all show similar findings. When the brain is exposed to constant stimulation without breaks, several changes begin to happen. Attention span becomes shorter, short-term memory weakens, mental fatigue increases, and it becomes harder to quickly recall information. The National Institute on Aging explains that memory is not a single system working alone. It depends heavily on attention, focus, and mental recovery. If your attention is always divided between multiple things, your brain cannot properly encode experiences into clear memories. That means even if you are hearing something important, your brain may not fully store it in a way that can be easily recalled later. Stanford neuroscience research adds another important layer to this understanding. The brain actually organizes and strengthens memories during rest periods. This means when you are not actively focusing on something, your brain is still working in the background, sorting information, connecting ideas, and storing important experiences. But if you constantly keep your mind busy with noise, screens, and distractions, those natural recovery and organization processes are disrupted. As a result, memories may feel incomplete or harder to access later. This is why many people say things like, "I remember hearing it, but I just cannot recall it clearly." It is not always a sign of serious memory disease, but often a sign that the brain did not get enough time to properly store the information. After the age of 60, this becomes even more important. The brain naturally goes through changes as part of aging. Processing speed becomes a bit slower, recovery time becomes longer, and the brain becomes more sensitive to stress and overstimulation. This does not mean something is wrong. It simply means the brain needs more care and balance than before. However, when constant mental overload is added on top of these natural changes, the effects become more noticeable. This is why many seniors start feeling like they forget things more often, lose focus during conversations, or feel mentally tired even after doing simple daily activities. It can feel frustrating and sometimes even worrying, but in many cases, it is not just aging alone. It is the combination of aging and continuous mental stimulation without proper rest. To understand this more clearly, imagine two different lifestyles. One person stays mentally active all day without breaks. The television is always on, the phone is constantly being checked, and there is always some form of background noise or information coming in. There is very little silence, and the brain is always processing something. On the other hand, another person also stays active during the day but takes regular quiet breaks, goes for short walks, and allows the mind to rest without constant input. After a few months, the difference becomes noticeable. The first person may start experiencing more forgetfulness, slower thinking, and mental fatigue. The second person tends to remain more focused, calm, and mentally clear. The key difference is not age, but how much recovery time the brain is given. The good news is that this is not permanent, and it is not complicated to improve. According to recommendations based on Harvard and NIH research, even small daily changes can support better brain health. One of the most effective habits is simply taking 10 to 20 minutes of quiet time each day, without screens, noise, or distractions. This allows the brain to reset and process information more effectively. Another helpful change is focusing on doing one task at a time instead of multitasking. Even though multitasking feels productive, it actually divides attention and reduces memory efficiency. Short daily walks are also highly beneficial because they improve blood flow to the brain, which supports cognitive function and memory performance. Finally, maintaining a consistent sleep schedule is extremely important because sleep is the time when the brain organizes and strengthens memory connections. Without good sleep, memory issues become more noticeable. So when you look at the bigger picture, memory decline is rarely something that happens suddenly. In most cases, it develops slowly over time due to repeated daily habits that place stress on the brain without giving it enough recovery. And the important thing to understand is this: your brain is not broken or failing you. It is responding to how it is being used every day. Just like any other part of the body, it needs balance, rest, and care. The encouraging part is that even small changes, if done consistently, can make a noticeable difference in how clear and sharp your thinking feels over time. If you are watching this and finding it helpful, make sure to subscribe to PrimeAge Wellness. This channel is dedicated to breaking down real health science into simple, practical information, specifically for seniors in the United States. We cover topics that help you stay mentally sharp, physically active, and healthier as you age, without confusion or complicated medical language. And in the next video, we will talk about early warning signs that your brain may be aging faster than normal, and what you can do about it.